888-835-2414.
This is Learning with Leslie. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Learning with Leslie, the podcast where we focus on making an impact from home, at home, and beyond. No, I'm not talking about the kind of impact that's here today and gone tomorrow. I'm talking about the kind that will last no matter what happens. I'm your host, Leslie Samuel from IamLeslieSamuel.com, where we're changing the world one person at a time. And as usual, I have another exciting episode for you today. In today's episode 402, we're going to be talking about how to make more money in your business in 2024, a step-by-step guide. Let me ask you a few questions. Number one, are you making money in your business but looking to make a little more or a lot more? Do you find that your business is not growing as much as you would like it to be? And do you know that you have the skills to grow your business, but maybe you're not sure where to focus your time and your effort? Well, this is the episode for you. Here's what we're going to get into. We're going to get into a practical way to decide what's working, how to determine when and where to spend your time, and how to know that what you're doing will make you more money with high certainty. That's what we're going to be talking about today. What is going on? Whew, wait, I'm out of breath, yo. That was a long last line. I'm so excited to be behind the mic again to talk to you about this topic. And I'm going to make a bold claim from right up front. I don't generally make these kinds of claims, but we're going in today. I'm going to make this claim. Here's the claim. Are you ready for it? The claim is this. If you have a business and it's making money, and you follow the steps that I am going to outline for you in this episode, you will make more money. Yeah, I'm gonna put it out there. If that is something that you're into, then you want to listen to this episode. Once again, I don't make promises because my word is my word and that's it. I don't make bold claims like this, especially when it comes to making money online and all that kind of stuff. I am not that guy. But what I want to do in this episode is walk you through a series of steps that they're proven. It's going to be so logical what we're going to do together today in this episode. And you will see by the end of this episode that, okay, wait, no. That just makes sense. If I do these things, I will make more money. All right? I've never made a claim like that on this podcast, but we're doing it today. So that's what we're going to get into. And we've got a lot of great stuff to talk about. Now, this is something that I've gone through with my clients a number of times. And this is the fun part for me, right? I am doing things with myself now that I've been doing for my clients for a while. Sometimes it's easy to help someone else. Sometimes it's easier to help someone else than it is to help yourself. What I'm going to be doing in this episode is sharing how I am applying those things to myself and to my own business. And I'm going to show you what I'm doing. I'm going to share my screen. If you're listening on the audio only version, it's okay because I'll explain to you what I'm showing on the screen. So you'll be still able to get a lot of value from it. But if you want to see what I'm showing, you can come over to the video. It's going to be on the YouTube channel. To get to this episode, go to IamLeslieSamuel.com/402 because this is episode 402. And we're going to get into some great stuff. Before we get into that great stuff, I got to let you know that this podcast, this episode, this show, everything that I'm doing here is brought to you by our sponsors at Ecamm Live. Listen, this is the quickest and easiest way to produce professional videos if you're using a Mac. without having to spend a bunch of time editing. It saves you time. It's how I'm doing what I'm doing right now. It might look like I'm doing some fancy editing, but I'm not. And you can save time, you can save money if you use the link ecamm.com/Leslie and use the promo code Leslie just to let them know that I'm the one that referred you. You're gonna save 15%. Great stuff, check them out. And let's get into the topic for today's episode. All right. I wanna walk you through something, like I said, that I've been doing with some of my clients over the years, and it makes such a huge difference. Now, a lot of what I'm gonna go over is gonna be some simple stuff, and there's some simple concepts. This episode is specifically targeting entrepreneurs. And if you are an entrepreneur and you have a business, you're gonna get some very practical steps that you can take. Now, the criteria is you're an entrepreneur that's making money. You're gonna benefit the most from this. Now, if you're an entrepreneur that's not quite making money as yet, you can use this as a way to figure out how you're gonna start doing the things that you need to do in order to make money. If you're not an entrepreneur, you're an employee, is there value in this episode for you? Absolutely. Because what I want you to do is I want you to pay attention to the principles that I'm going to teach in this episode, because they apply to you whether you're an entrepreneur or not. Now, one of the main principles that this is going to be based on is called the Pareto principle. And the Pareto principle simply states that 80% of the outcomes come from 20% of the causes. And we see this 80-20, they also call it the 80-20 principle or the 80-20 rule. And we see this in so many different areas of our life and of society. 80% of the wealth is in the hand of the 20% of people. 80% of our productivity comes from 20% of our effort. And this is a generalized concept, a generalized principle that shows you that there's an unequal value in terms of the result. And when we compare that to the input, okay, that's the principle that we're going to be using in order to make more money going into 2024. All right. So I'm just going to walk you through some steps. And as I walk you through some steps, I'm going to show you some parts of those steps right here today. Okay, so you're an entrepreneur. You have products that you're selling or a service that you're selling or multiple things. And maybe you have multiple streams of income. This first step is going to sound so obvious, and it should be. The first thing you need to do is track your income. What money are you making? How much money are you making? And where is that money coming from? The first time I was introduced to a very practical application of this, I gotta give credit to my boy, Dan Morris, because we were at an event and he had a group of people come together, and we went into a room and he was doing this presentation just off the fly, right? He wasn't a speaker at the event, but people knew the value that he provided, and they just wanted to, he was having a conversation with a small group of people, and then more people gathered around and more people gathered around, and we just decided, hey, let's go to a room and we're gonna talk about this. And here's how he broke it down. And this is what I wanna break down for you today. Take a spreadsheet, or whatever you use to report on your income. And I want you to do this. Make a list of all of the ways that you make money and put it from the highest to the lowest. All right. So maybe like me, you make money from coaching. Maybe you make money from ads. Maybe you make money from products that you've sold, courses. Maybe you make money from affiliate products, and there are a bunch of affiliate products that you promote. Maybe you make money doing events, hosting events, emceeing, whatever the case might be. I want you to take, literally, I want you to come. This is the one part I'm not going to show you. And the reason I'm not going to show you this part is not because it's my income, but it's because if I were to show you my income, then you would see how much people are paying me. And I didn't get people's permission to share that with you. So I want you to do it for yourself. Make a list of all of the ways that you make money and sort it from highest to lowest. Now, maybe you make, I'm just going to throw random numbers out there. Maybe you make $50,000 from coaching in the year. Maybe you make $20,000 from affiliate products. Maybe you make $10,000 from selling products and courses or whatever. I don't care what it is. I want you to break down every single income source that you have. And then at the bottom, I want you to add it up. And let's say for simplification, simplification, and because it sounds nice, let's say you make a total of $100,000 for the year. All right, you're making $100,000 for the year. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to take 80% of that, because we're generally going with the 80-20 principle, right? Take 80% of that. That's $80,000. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to look at the items on this list from the greatest to the least and start counting down. Okay, I make $50,000 from coaching, $20,000 from the next thing, $10,000 from the next thing. That is $80,000. And I want you to determine, where is that $80,000, that 80% coming from? And what is very interesting is that a lot of entrepreneurs will find, listen to this, a lot of entrepreneurs will find that the bulk of their income, that 80%, is only coming from a few sources. So this is the second part of the steps. The second step is to analyze where your income is coming from and see what is responsible for the 80%. What are the big sources of income that is responsible for 80%? Now, you might be thinking, Leslie, I'm not making 100,000. I'm not making 10,000. I'm not even making $1. That's okay. I have stuff for you coming in the next part that you want to pay attention to that's going to be based on the same principles. Okay? So for right now, let's say you have 10 things on that list, or maybe you have 20 things on that list, but you find that the things that result in you making 80% of your revenue are just 2 or 3 of the things on that list. What do you do at that point? Well, we know that 80% of our output comes from 20% of our input, generally speaking. Let me ask you this. What do you think would happen if you, instead of spreading your attention over all these 20 things, you just focus most of your time, 80% of your time, on the top 3 things that are responsible for 80% of your revenue? Guess what's going to happen? You're going to make more money. Let me say that with more effect. You're going to make more money. It just makes sense, right? So, first thing, track your income. And second, analyze your income. Put it in a spreadsheet and see where am I spending my time, and how does that result in my effort? In terms of results, what is responsible for the majority of my income? Now, I got to give a disclaimer. I have to give a disclaimer in that this is a general principle that I believe generally applies to most people. Now, there are some people in some instances, like for example, I have a client, I'm not going to say what industry that person is in, but this person has a business that is extremely successful, making 7 figures. And this person, a big part of it is that they have a bunch of different products. And it's easy to look at, the last few months and see 80% of their revenue came from this one particular source or these few sources. But because of the seasonality of what that person is doing, what's not popular today can be extremely popular in a few months, and the bulk of the revenue then can come from things that were not responsible for the bulk of the revenue right now. So, of course, you want to take this with a grain of salt and tailor it to your specific business, to your specific industry. But the general idea is, what is making you the most money? That's where you should be spending most of your effort. It should be on those things that are generating the bulk of the revenue. So that's number one. And number two. Number one, track your income. If you're not tracking your income, start tracking your income. Number two, you want to analyze your income and determine where the 80% of that revenue is coming from the biggest source of revenue all the way down. All right? And then if you can clearly see that the bulk of your, and what's interesting with this is you often find that, especially if you're an entrepreneur with multiple streams of income, you're building your business online, it's interesting to see that sometimes the thing that's giving you the most revenue is not necessarily the thing that you're spending a ton of time on. And that's a great place to be, because then you can just spend a little more time on those things. You can take a little bit of the time away from the things that are not really generating anything significant in terms of revenue. And now you're focused on what's working. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, let me know in the comments. Just say it makes sense or something of that sort. All right, that's number one. That's the first area. The second area, we're gonna look at your time. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to start tracking your time. Yeah, I know. You're an entrepreneur. You don't have to clock in anymore and all that good stuff. You're not getting paid per hour, or maybe you are, or whatever the case might be. But I want you to get good and detailed at tracking your time. Now, I first started doing this because I was working with a client, and this client was tracking their time to the T. And at the end of the year, we sat down and analyzed all of the places she was spending her time. And it was so revealing that I decided I'm going to do this for myself. Now, I'm going to show you how I do this, because I've been doing it all year, this year, for the first time, and it has given me some considerable insight, and you'll see exactly what I mean by that. So let's look at my screen. Okay, first off, there are a few ways that you can track your time. The way that I use, the service that I use is called Toggl, Toggl, and that's at toggl.com. I use this to track everything I do. When I'm working, I'm clocked in. Like right now, I'm recording a podcast episode. I am clocked in for recording a podcast episode, and it's tracking that I am recording a podcast episode. Now, let's just analyze my time. Okay, let's do this together. In a similar way, we're gonna look at the time and see where I'm spending it and determine, is that the best use of my time? So I see here, this is alphabetical. So if you're looking on the screen, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Oh, that's even better. If you're looking at the screen, or if you're not looking at the screen, what I'm showing is all of the things that I do. So I can see some admin work for my interactive biology business, and I can see how much time I spent there. There's some time for learning AI. There's some time on my biology videos and so on. So there's a bunch of details, but you can see this is my data for the year, and it shows where I spent my time. But here's what's interesting. When I look at these graphs, what it's showing me, when I look at the graphs, it's showing me 35% of my time, that's the most amount of my time, was spent on projects related to biology videos. Okay? This makes sense. It makes sense because I've determined that this is what I want to focus on this year. I want to focus on my biology videos and my biology content. So it makes sense that that's going to be the bulk of my time, right? So the next bulk of my time, 32%, is for other things. and that just jumps up. It puts a whole bunch of other miscellaneous stuff together. And then I see 23% of my time was spent specifically on revenue generation when it comes to my I Am Leslie Samuel brand, and 9% was spent on admin work. But that's not where it gets super interesting. Where it gets super interesting is when I analyze the specific tasks on a graph to show me how much time I'm spending on specific tasks. Number one place that I'm spending the bulk of my time, or I've spent the bulk of my time in 2023, is on editing biology videos. 16% of all my time was spent editing biology videos. The next closest thing to that is other, 9%. So that's less than, almost half. Less than half, coaching calls at 6%. Then I have music production because I make biology videos, 6%. Recording biology videos, 5%. But I wanna go back to the first part. I spend 16% of my time, twice as much as anything else I do, on editing biology videos. Now, let me ask you this question. Is my business video editing? Do people pay me to edit videos? No, they do not pay me to edit videos. But that's where I'm spending the most of my time. Let's get specific, right? I spent 170 hours editing biology videos. Is there a better use of my time? If editing biology videos doesn't make me money, should I be doing that? Absolutely not. This was never as obvious to me because I wasn't before tracking my time. Now I can look at this and say, wait a minute, I'm spending so much time on something that does not directly make me revenue. So what do I do as a result? I cut it off. Not that I don't get my videos editing, but no, I've actually now handed that off to someone else who can edit those videos to me because this is what they do. They are better at it than me. And that gives me back 170 hours. Now, let me ask you this. If I were to take 170 hours and put that time, invest that time into the things that are making me money, will I make more money? The answer is absolutely, I will make more money. So the question is, where are you spending your time as an entrepreneur? And let's say you're not an entrepreneur. Let's say you're an employee. Where are you spending the bulk of your time? Are you spending your time on the things that are making you more productive? Well, how do you determine that? One of the ways you determine that is by tracking your time. And then we can analyze your time. Now, let me give you a little bit more information on how I am doing this. I am using, as I said, I'm using Toggle. This is the service that I'm using. I'm not paying anything for this. This is just an app that you can sign up for, a service that you can sign up for. It gives you an app, and then you can use that to track your time. Now, I use something along with this because what I don't like about Toggle is whenever I use Toggle, I actually have to type in what I'm doing. And now, I don't know about you, but if every time I have to check in, I have to type in, I am editing a biology video, this time I might call it editing a biology video. Sometime, the next time, I might say biology video editing. And then that shows up as different things. So I use a different app that's called Timery. Now, let me show you this. Timery integrates with Toggle. And this is available. I think this is Mac only, but there are other versions. And honestly, I don't really care what app you use for tracking time. But what this does for me is it allows me to set up a bunch of different timers. So right now, I'm recording a podcast. I will just come here and click hey, I'm checking in to record a podcast. When I'm done with this, I'm going to do something else, and I will click on the thing that I'm doing, and it's going to track in the background all of the stuff that I'm doing. Now, I've told a number of people about this, and some have done it, and others have said, you know what? If it has to depend on me to remember to clock in and all that good stuff, it's not going to work well for me. Well, there is another option, and that's called Rescue Time. Rescue Time is an app that you can install. It's a service. I'm not even an affiliate for this. I don't know if they have an affiliate program. Maybe I should have checked that and then promote this and make some more money. But what this will do is it will run in the background and just track what you do automatically. And that's one way that you can do that and get a report of, how much time you spent on Facebook, how much time you spent in your photo editing program, or whatever the case might be that you're doing on your computer. This just runs in the background, and that works well for some people. Now, the reason I don't do that is because I want to be proactive about the things that I'm putting in my time management system or my time tracking system. I want to be able to determine, hey, this is editing videos, or this is social media marketing specifically for my podcast episode. And that way I can break it down to the detail that I want, as opposed to what this thinks that I'm doing at the time. So those are some options that you can use for tracking your time. And here is the key. Once you've broken down, you can do this on a weekly basis, you can do this on a daily basis, you can do it on a monthly basis. I just happen to have started this at the beginning of the year. So I have an entire year of data that I can go through and say, I spent too much time editing videos. What I'm going to do now is, or what I've done is I've outsourced that. Okay? So you want to eliminate or outsource those high time but low income things. So the things that are taking a lot of your time but aren't directly resulting in revenue, aren't making any significant amount of revenue. If you want to make more money, either get rid of those things completely, or if you can't get rid of those things completely, get someone else to do it for you. Make sense? I think it makes sense. Now, what else can you do? You've eliminated those tasks. Before I talk about what else you can do, I got to give a more detailed plug for these guys because I love them so much. Ecamm Live. I remember when I first found Ecamm Live. I found it because I was using other programs like Wirecast that were extremely technical, and I used to use those for broadcasting my live stream. And what I loved about it is that I could bring things on the screen. I could bring in animations. I can show video clips. I can share my screen. I can do all of the things that I'm doing right now. But the problem was it was so complicated. And while I could do it, it was hard to get other people to use it because of how technical and how detailed you had to be when setting it up. And then I found Ecamm Live. And with Ecamm Live, with the click of a button, I can go live. With a click of a button, I can drag something onto the screen and show it. With a click of a button, literally, I can bring an overlay, a lower third, graphics, and all of those types of things. And it made it so easy to not just go live, but also to produce professional quality video like I'm doing now without spending a bunch of time editing. You saw how much time I spent editing those biology videos? Well, with Ecamm Live, I can eliminate the bulk of that without even hiring someone else, like I'm doing for this podcast episode. You know how much I'm spending, how much time I'm gonna spend editing this? 0. Why? Because Ecamm Live makes it that simple. So if you wanna check them out, go to ecamm.com/Leslie. You're gonna get a 15% discount and use the promo code Leslie in order to claim that. That's Ecamm Live. I love those guys. They're awesome. Always innovating as well. And you'll see that once you start using it. Okay, so we've analyzed where our money is coming from. And we've decided to focus on the fewer things that are responsible for the bulk of our revenue. We've analyzed our time and we've seen now, okay, I'm spending a lot of time doing things that are not high value tasks, that are not high income earners. And we've eliminated or we've outsourced those tasks. Now, what do? Well, we take that time that we freed up and we spend more of that time focusing on the things that are making us the most amount of money. It just makes sense. If I freed up 170 hours, can I do a little more one-on-one coaching? If coaching is such a big part of my revenue, now can I do coaching and it's 1 hour every 2 weeks. Can I take on another client? Can I take on another 2 clients? If I do, that's a significant amount of revenue that I am making in my business in addition to what I was making before. It's not going to cost me as much to hire someone to do those things, to edit my videos, as the money that I could make spending one fraction of that time with another coaching client. I mean, it just makes sense. If you do more of what is working, you're going to get more of the results from the thing that's actually working. And you're going to waste less time doing the thing that's not working. Now, let's say you are not an entrepreneur. Or maybe you want to be an entrepreneur, but you're not quite there as yet. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to track your time. I want you to analyze where you are spending your time. And that could be in your business that you're starting, or at work, at home, whatever. Let's say you're a student. Track your time and see where you are spending your time. It's not what you say it's important. It's not what you say is important. It's what you actually do. And if what you're doing doesn't line up with what you say you want to accomplish, then you got to start eliminating certain things. You got to start, if you find that when you started tracking how much time you're spending watching TV, now you realize that, oh my goodness, I'm spending 15 to 20 hours a week watching sitcoms. Do you know what you can do with 15 to 20 hours a week? Do you know how much you can learn? Do you know how much you can take action on to help you start that dream thing that you've been wanting to start forever? Yeah, you've been talking about starting a business, but you find you're too busy and you don't have the time. But when you analyze your time, you see how much time you're actually wasting. And if now you can reclaim 10 hours a week, is that enough for you to take that online course that's going to tell you how to start a business? Is that enough to figure out how to set up your website? Is that enough time for you to figure out how to do a podcast, how to use Ecamm Live to make a professional video and post that on YouTube and all that good stuff? Do you have the time now? I want you. I can't believe I'm saying this, but we're going into 2024, y'all. Like in a few days. That sounds crazy to me. But in a few days, we're going into 2024. And a lot of us are just coasting through life, not realizing what we're actually wasting time on. And until I went into my time tracking app and saw where I was spending my time, I had no idea that that I had become a video editor. I really didn't realize it. But when you see the numbers, then you realize that, wait a minute, I am not doing what I should be doing. And if I eliminate those things and I focus on the things that are going to help me to get to where I want to go, the sky is the limit. Listen, I am tired of the excuse that we're too busy to do this. We're too busy to do that. I'm tired of people sending me messages like, hey, I know you're extremely busy. No, I'm not extremely busy. No, I'm not. What I do is I prioritize how I spend my time so that I don't get extremely busy. However, if you are extremely busy, you find yourself as one of those people that are extremely busy, please do me this favor. If not for you, if you kind of like me, you think I'm kind of cool or whatever the case may be, do this for me if that's what it takes, right? I want you to start tracking your time, analyze what you're doing. And if you see you're wasting time, you're welcome, because now all of a sudden, like magic, you've got new time. Like magic, you're ready to learn that new skill. Like magic, you are ready to take your knowledge and your experience to the next level. You're ready to start doing some marketing for your product. You're ready to start doing the things that you don't have the time to do. Listen, that is my message, right? And if you want to make more money in 2024 with your business, you want to be more productive, you want to do more, you want to accomplish more, whatever the case might be, number one, analyze where your revenue is coming from and make sure you're spending your time on the things that are making you the most money. Number two, analyze the time that you're spending and make sure you're spending the time on the things that are going to make you more productive, on the things that are making you more money if you're building a business or you're doing whatever you're doing. And if you see you're wasting time, cut that junk out, outsource that stuff, whatever you got to do, so that you can spend your time on the things that are most valuable. That's pretty much what I wanted to talk about in this episode. It's something that I've done with my clients. It's something that I'm doing for myself. I'm excited about what that means for 2024. And I'm excited that if you do it, you're gonna be more productive. You're gonna make more money in your business and you're gonna provide more value. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. What do you think? What are you wasting time on? What do you need to spend more time on? Let me know. I am LeslieSamuel.com/402. But that's pretty much it for this episode. My name is Leslie Samuel. I am from IamLeslieSamuel.com, where we're changing the world one person at a time. And until next time, take care and God bless.